Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen, replacing Chucky in this time slot. So, you may be surprised that this is coming up so soon. If you didn't see my last reaction to Chucky, if you weren't watching that series or whatnot, basically the reasoning is that ever since I reacted to the first episode as a first impressions reaction, I have been obsessed with seeing more. Because I've watched multiple reactions now. Multiple people's reactions to the first episode. And every time I watch another one of them, I just love this more and more. The first episode is genuinely that good for me. And honestly, that's a little surprising for a number of reasons. One, because this was another one of those shows kind of like Fire Force that I didn't expect to love much right from the start. But also because first episodes usually don't do it for me that hard. Like, a first episode, even if it's good, even if it's really good, usually isn't this good for me. To where it's like I'm still constantly thinking about it and heavily excited to see more to this level. There are very few shows that have done that. And I'm happy that this is one of them. Because as I've always said, it's like I want everything I react to be good. So when I see something that really is this just off the bat really damn good for me, that's not only just impressive, but that's what I want. That's what I hope to experience with any series I react to. So I'm very excited about it because of that alone. But also, I'm excited because Jujutsu Kaisen, in a way, is a spiritual successor of sorts to Bleach. This is something that I found out about afterwards. And the funny thing is, during my first reaction, I mentioned during the opening that the curse that was shown in the opening looked a lot like a hollow from Bleach. And it's like, now that I know that it's a spiritual successor, that makes a lot of sense. You can very much see the inspiration. It's very clear. Even in, oh God, what is his name? I had his name before I started recording, too. Yuji Itadori. Even in his look, like, he kind of bears a little bit of a resemblance to Ichigo. The hair is similar, especially. It's not exactly the same, of course, but it's noticeable. Personality, he doesn't seem quite the same, mind you, but yeah, there's still something there. And even with the aspect that Yuji is like just instantly talented at this shit, that he's instantly like very well, like, how do I put it, acclimated to being able to take on these curses and everything. Ichigo is the same way in Bleach with taking on the hollows. And even, you could even say Yuji being possessed by Ryomen Sakuna, is that it? It is similar to Ichigo having his hollow form in Bleach. There's just these comparisons that are just undeniably easy to make. And I'm into that. And part of that is because I am watching Bleach again. You noticed from my review of the first arc. I am going through the series again to prepare for the upcoming arc that is coming out this fall, the first animated Bleach arc in over a decade. And so it's going to be exciting in that regard. So I've begun rewatching, trying to get caught back up to remember everything that had happened, and doing these arc reviews as well, just for the fun of it. And so, yeah, my mind is very much on Bleach at the moment. So that isn't helping either. That's making me even more excited for more Jujutsu Kaisen as well. So I kind of decided to just push Jujutsu Kaisen to the front of the line. I'm still going to get to other stuff that I did first impressions reactions for before that. I'm still going to get to those. Those are still coming. Stuff like Agent Carter and Watchmen and everything, they're still coming. But I wanted to push this to the front of the line because if I'm being honest, I'm just that excited for it and I want to see more. I really want to see more. Which is a very, very good thing. But yeah, and just as a note for those who didn't watch the first impressions reaction, first of all, I would suggest doing so. Go checking that out. That is my first episode reaction, completely blind as pretty much everything is on this channel. I would suggest checking that out, getting all my initial thoughts going into the series there, as well as just my first impressions, getting to see those, and how I reacted to everything going on. But I would also suggest checking it out just to kind of have a better idea as what to expect with reactions for this series, in case you're like newer to my channel or whatnot, or have come because of this series. Because I'm not like other reactors. I'm not as high energy as other reactors, so just to get a good feel for what to expect with these reactions. There's something else I was going to say, and it's completely skipping my mind. But either way, if I remember, I'll mention it. Either way, yeah, I'm very excited to continue this. I don't know. I think this is like 20-something episodes, so we'll probably do one episode at a time for now. Maybe there will be a week or two here and there where we do multiple. Excuse me. Woke up not that long ago. But yeah, it's like for the most part it'll be one episode a week. And we'll just continue on as we continue on. But as a reminder, we are also doing this in dub. If you didn't watch the first impressions, again, definitely check that out. I explain it exactly in there, but just to go over it again real quick. We're watching this in dub because of specifically Yuji Itadori's dub voice actor, who I personally have met at a convention. He was also the voice of Marco Diaz in Star vs. the Forces of Evil. And he is there. I wanted to check this out in the dub specifically because of him. I had heard the first episode in sub since then, because of other reactors I've watched. And honestly, I kind of prefer the dub, based off just the first episode at least. I prefer the voices in the dub, and I don't think it's because I heard it first, because I've proven that entire idea wrong plenty of times. One Piece is an example I like to use for that, because I heard dub before I ever heard sub for One Piece. But still, I like the voices better, and it's just one of those anime that I do. Bleach being another one. I like the dub voices better. um, so it's just, that's what I'm going to go with. I know some people might be sub supremacists, basically. But I've never been one of those. I've never been like, oh, you got to go with the sub. I think anyone should watch whatever they want. If they like sub better, then watch the sub. If they like the dub better, watch the dub. I'm personally someone who goes back and forth. It just depends on the anime. For this one, after hearing them both especially, I prefer the dub. Again, based off the first episode, mind you, but still. Um, so yeah, just as a reminder, as a note, that is what I was trying to figure out, what I was trying to say before. But we are doing the dub. So keep that in mind. So yeah, we should probably get into actually talking about what happened in the first episode. So, Yuji Itadori, normal high school student, part of an occult club, which is fun. You don't actually see that as like the main character's club in a lot of anime. Um, the only other one I can think of is Mob Psycho, offhand. Though there's a lot of anime I haven't seen, to be fair, so there might be plenty more. Um, but Yuji is a normal high school kid. Um, he ends up getting caught up in some stuff after the death of his grandfather. His grandfather dies literally right in front of him in the hospital, and afterwards he ends up meeting Fushiguro. Is that what it was? It might take me a bit to get all the names down. Keep that in mind. He ends up meeting Fushiguro, who is a uh, student at Jujutsu Academy, I believe it was. Um, and he is trying to find this cursed object in the school because it's basically past its expiration date and is starting to act as bait for curses. Um, and Yuji reveals that, yeah, he had the object, but that his senpai have it now, that they are actually planning on unraveling it at the school that night. So Fushiguro and Yuji head to the school to try and keep them from dying, and end up fighting some curses and successfully saving Yuji's friends and clubmates. Um, in the process, though, during the fight with the curses, Yuji ends up having to swallow the cursed object, Ryumin Sukuna's finger, which gives him immense curse power. He does it specifically to be able to protect his friends and even Fushiguro. However, swallowing it also allows the spirit of Ryumin Sukuna to possess Yuji. Though somehow he's able to fight it off. He's able to maintain control of his body and fight off Ryumin Sukuna's full control, which is very much made clear to be not normal. Especially since Fushiguro basically mentioned that this is a very high level cursed object. At the end, though, Fushiguro decides that he has to abide by the bylaws and everything and exorcise Yuji, which basically we know means he's got to kill him. Because I think it's pretty clear there's not going to be a way to separate them at this point. So when he's saying he's exercising, it would kill Yuji in the process. So I'm assuming this episode is going to start off with them fighting. Yuji's probably going to be more defensive about it, not being so actively aggressive in the fight. And hopefully this will lead us into where the first episode started. The cold open of the first episode had Yuji bound and told he was going to be executed by Satoru Gojo, the popular character of this series by the fans. Let's be honest. I knew about him well before I ever decided to check out this series. Because the fans will not shut up about him. They think he's really hot, for one. and for 2, they just really like him. I'll have to see more before I can really say what I think of him. I've only seen like one small scene, so we'll have to see more. But yeah, we're gonna have to see how that goes down. I assume he's probably going to interrupt Yuji and Fushiguro's fight. That's the only thing I can think of. If that is even like moved into in this episode, I assume it would be. I assume they wouldn't like have that flash forward be too far in the future, but we'll see. We'll see. Either way, I am very excited to get into more of this. I am glad we are back. I'm glad I decided to push it forward. Because I wasn't sure if I was going to do this, because I almost feel a little guilty about doing so, about pushing it above ones that I did the first impressions reaction to beforehand. But fuck it, it's my channel. It's my channel. I can do what I want. And I want to get to Jujutsu Kaisen, damn it. And again, we're still going to get to all that other stuff. All those other first impressions reactions that I did that I said we were going to continue on with, we're still going to get to those. Don't worry about it. I just wanted to make sure I got to this because, again, it was just completely taking over my mind. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see more. So we're going to get this started. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this was another really great episode. This one also had a lot more setup for what the general plot of this is going to be and how this is going to further the series and all. But I'll get to that in a moment, because this did not start how I thought it was going to. I was expecting this to start with Itadori and Fushiguro fighting. Like, I was expecting them to actually have a fight before Gojo came in. But no, Gojo comes in and stops the fight from even happening, basically. And right off the bat, I can tell why people love Gojo. And I'm kind of on board with him so far, too. He is an absolute goober. And I just love his personality. He's goofy, he's silly, he's kind of relaxed and calm about every situation. And again, like I said in the reaction, I like teachers like this. Teachers who are actively fun-loving, goofy, and even kind of ridiculous are sometimes the best teachers, from my experience. I've had teachers of all kinds throughout my schooling. I had teachers who were extremely harsh and really, really just by the numbers and stuff. And those teachers oftentimes were never well liked, but also, like, students didn't do well in their classes because, basically how we were treated. That never allowed us to be able to learn properly. That kind of over the top, like almost aggressive style, just it doesn't give a good learning environment. It doesn't make the kids care to learn. When you have a teacher who's more like this, like some teachers I have had, who are just more kind and cool and fun-loving and all, it's like the kids will connect with them. And they'll be able to just study under them and learn from them a lot easier because there will be that desire to. When you have a teacher who's like that, the kids are going to want to learn from them, believe it or not. I think more teachers should be cool like this. So I definitely get the appeal there. And before we talk about the rest of the episode, I do want to mention at the end we get a brief look at Nobara, and based on that brief look as well as the ending theme, and based off the fact that I have seen like fan art and stuff of her before, this is not what I thought her character was going to be like at all. Based off of the fan art I saw prior to ever checking out this series and everything, Nobara always struck me as like a very serious type of character. Almost like Fushiguro, just maybe not as much so. But she actually seems kind of fun and lighthearted and almost not quite as energetic, not quite as high, like, energy ridiculousness as her, but she kind of reminds me, and maybe this is just because I saw a My Hero Academia parody of the ending theme, but she kind of reminds me of Mina. And yeah, in that parody, Mina is in her place during the ending theme, but still, again, maybe it's just because of that, but for some reason, just instant personality based off of that little clip we saw at the end of this episode, that's just kind of where my mind went with her. Maybe Uraraka. You could maybe say like Uraraka as a less eccentric version, but still, like I'm kind of getting those kind of vibes from her. And I would be all game for that, even if it's, again, just not as high energy as Mina is. I'd be game for her just not being quite what you'd expect. Like with Fire Force, I knew going into that Maki wasn't a super serious type of character. So that didn't surprise me. But with this one, it's more surprising for me. Not in a bad way by any means. I like that, but still. So this episode, like I said, is a lot of setup. It's a lot of explaining to us what the plot's going to be, how it's going to go down, and kind of the stakes that we have here. So we see that Itadori can, at will, switch between him and Sukuna. He can give Sukuna control, but can, at will, on the number, take it back. Like during a 10-second period, just instantly take back that control. Sukuna and Gojo have a 10-second fight where Gojo is basically just playing with Sukuna because he's so much more powerful. Though Gojo says that even if Sukuna were at full power, he would still be stronger, which I don't know if that's true. But I like his confidence nonetheless. And so we kind of get caught up with the cold open from the first episode. We find out that, yeah, Gojo tried to save Itadori, tried to get it so that he wouldn't have to be executed. But apparently the elders of Jujutsu sorcerers and all, apparently they weren't having any of it. They still believe he needs to be executed, but Gojo managed to work out a deal to where the execution will be postponed for as long as it takes Yuji to collect the rest of Ryomen Sukuna's fingers, ingest them, and complete the curse within himself. He has 20 fingers because he has 4 arms, so there's still a good amount that has to be done here. And we're just going to kind of have to see how that goes. Honestly, I doubt the series is going to end with Itadori's death. I think they're gonna find some way to get out of that. But at the same time, I don't know how this is going to go and how long it's even going to take to collect all those fingers. And hell, that might only be the first arc for all we know. I don't know how this series is going to be organized in that regard. Um, but yeah, so Gojo struck this deal to get him to survive for now, at least, and tells him it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're transferring you to Jujutsu Academy. I'm not saying that entire name. I can't even remember the entire name. We're transferring you to the school. It's to the public under the guise of a religious private school. We're transferring you here so you can train to be a Jujutsu sorcerer while you're doing your job in collecting these cursed fingers. But to get in, you have to impress the principal, who is this tough guy who's hard to impress, who makes dolls that he infuses with his curse energy and can deal quite a wallop. I like him already. Like, the principal seems fun. He seems very much no nonsense, but at the same time, I love that he fights using these dolls. I think that's a fantastic idea to counterbalance his personality. So we see Itadori and him fight, and he's telling Itadori, it's like, if you want to get in, you have to tell me a good reason why you want to do this. And at first, the reasoning he gives is because, he's keeping his promise to his grandfather, and the principal's like, no, that's not good enough. You're still just doing this for someone else. That's not good enough. And so eventually Itadori kind of has to come to terms with things and realizes that he's the only one who can do this and that he needs to do this to protect others. And he gives this grand old speech, and it works. He's accepted in and brought to his dorm room. Right next door to Fushigoro's, to the dismay of Fushigoro. Because Fushiguro, he doesn't seem like a bad guy or anything. He's just a little rough around the edges. And he's just annoyed about having a neighbor now. And then the episode kind of ends with Gojo kind of saying like, oh, we got to go get the last of the first years, and we then cut to the little part with introducing Nobara. So I'm wondering who that other character in the opening is with them, though. The one that Itadori seemed to be getting along pretty well with. Maybe there's going to be another first year at some point. We'll see. But in the meantime, yeah, another really good episode. It like I said, it was just setting up a lot for what the plot's going to be and how it's going to go. And that's fine. That's fine. Because it was still entertaining. It still introduced us to some new characters. Very notably Gojo. And it was still just a really good episode. It was entertaining as hell. I don't know if I would say it was as entertaining as the first one. I'm not sure. I have to see it some more times before I can truly say. Because there's probably some things I missed. Though I can say one thing. I can tell you what my favorite scene was in the episode. Just based off of my initial impressions and everything. And it's not what you might think. My favorite scene in this episode, episode 2, was when Yuji went to the hospital room to talk to his friend and check in on the other one, who was unconscious, kind of in a almost comatose state. Him apologizing to them, and notably to the girl who's the one who is awake, and acknowledging that to a degree it's he feels it's his fault. That is what gave him the drive to be able to say what he did to the principal later on. More so than his grandfather's dying wish. I truly believe that is what gave him the motivation to say something like that. I feel that scene is a lot more important than a lot of people might give it credit for. And to me, it's just, honestly, it kind of defined his character for me. I just feel like that was a phenomenal example of what Itadori's character is like. And so, I definitely see that as my favorite scene in the episode. Just off of initial impressions, just off of recency bias and everything. But I do. I think that was it was just my favorite moment in the episode, hands down. But I would love to hear your thoughts. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen? And what was your favorite moment? Did you enjoy Gojo's true introduction, as much as I did? What did you think of the plushie battle? Tell me your thoughts on all of that and more down in the comments below. And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.